How do I get this to full screen? I'm not really full screen yet, I don't think.
I don't think you really can.
Okay, so it's what I get here is what I get.
Yeah, because you hit that, then you've gone full screen. Yeah, that is full screen because Zoom has the.
Oops. So I just lose it.
No, it's not there.
Where is it? Here?
It's one of those. The
No,
next one over.
this one.
You can do, full screen won't be like full screen.
No, this is not going to do anything.
I'll make it bigger. Yeah, that's
Okay,
full screen.
I'll take it.
But I mean, it's because we're not fooling anybody about not being there.
Right.
Hopefully we'll hear something.
And it is 4 o'clock.
Gotcha. All right. Forgot to hit the button. So, first thing we'll do is do a call to order and roll call, and we'll have our Chief Legal Officer, Bob Fry, do that, please.
Good afternoon, directors. Please indicate your attendance when I call your name. Director Smith?
Here.
Director Slash? Director Fagan? Director Wilson?
Present.
Director Gardner?
Present.
Director Hahn?
Present.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Next is awards and accommodations, and that'll be done by our President and CEO, Jennifer Purrs.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Jennifer Pierce, President CEO. I'll start, as I always do, with safe drivers. So for the month of October, we have a number of folks who were recognized with the National Safety Council Patch, Pin, and Certificate. There's a list on the screen for us. Thank you all for your service. And I'll highlight the first name on that list is Michael Flowers with 34 years of safe driving. He's been working for us for 39 years. So congratulations to Michael. Next, we have our October Garage Employee of the Month, Shane Treesh. Shane, from his nomination, I will read, Shane played a huge role in the month of September, replacing brakes on a number of BYDs with a smile. If you're on us virtually, can you please make sure you're muted?
Okay, I'm hanging up.
Thank you. He never complains and has showed a lot of growth as a diesel mechanic, considering he has been a career automotive technician. Shane has always had a great attitude and is willing to jump right in and help. So congratulations to Shane. And then our October Fleet Employee of the Month is Derek Payne. He is a facility general laborer on our team, on our facility team. His nomination says, despite recent staffing shortages, Derek has gone above and beyond to keep our facilities running smoothly. He's always willing to come in early, takes initiative, and covers multiple areas, including operations, admin, maintenance, break room, and restrooms. Derek's positive attitude, reliability, and teamwork make a real difference every day, and we truly appreciate his dedication. Mr. Payne holds himself to a high standard and takes pride in his work. He's always willing to lend a helping hand when and where needed. Mr. Payne consistently strives to keep the areas tasked to him clean and well-maintained. He's proactive in identifying and addressing issues before they become problems, and is always willing to lend a helping hand when needed. Derek's strong work ethic and team player attitude make him a valuable part of our facilities team. So congratulations to Derek. And finally, I don't have a slide for this one, but I received word today that we were awarded $14.75 million for 10 buses under the low or no emission grant program. So I want to make a special note of that. And that is all I have, Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jennifer. Moving on to item 3, committee reports. Without objection, we will enter into the record the Governance and Audit Committee report for its meeting that took place earlier today. Any objections? Okay, thank you. Next is the regular agenda, and item number 4 And we'll begin with action item A1, which is consideration and approval of the board minutes from October the 16th, 2025. And are there any questions or comments from the board members concerning the board minutes? None?
Move we adopt the minutes.
Okay, second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show there was no opposition. Those are approved. Thank you. Action item A2 is a public hearing for consideration and approval of adoption of ordinance number 2025-02, which is authorizing the acquisition of real property for the Blue Line and local bus improvement projects. And our Chief Legal Officer, Bob Fry, will make the presentation on that.
Good afternoon, directors. It is recommended that the Board of Directors adopt proposed ordinance number 2025-02, authorizing Indigo to acquire certain real property interests necessary for local bus stop improvement projects and for the Blue Line Bus Rapid Transit Project. So I'm not going to go through the whole presentation because you heard a presentation on this last month when the ordinance was introduced, but in sum, the board is empowered by state statute to acquire real estate interests that are necessary or convenient to the operation of the transit system in basically any manner in which you could acquire a property, meaning by it could be granted to us, we can purchase it, it could be gifted to us, a lease, eminent domain, or otherwise. So the board, per statute, has to adopt an ordinance declaring that we have an interest in acquiring the property and also authorizing Indigo to use eminent domain if necessary to acquire the property. As you've heard me say before, and I believe Director of Development, Chief Development Officer Brooke Thomas told you last month, Indigo strives to never use eminent domain if we don't have to. We work as hard as we can with property owners to acquire the property at a just and fair price. And but sometimes you just can't reach an agreement. Sometimes you just can't find a property owner, and eminent domain is necessary. So again, before we could proceed down that path, the board has to approve it through adoption of this ordinance. So as mentioned, it's a two-step process. The ordinance was introduced last month. This now is a public hearing, which we will open up for anyone from the public who might want to speak to the ordinance. The public hearing was advertised per law in the Indianapolis Star and the Court and Commercial Record. So with that, I will try to answer any questions board members may have, but we also have some members of the capital project staff who could answer questions about the projects themselves if needed.
Okay, thanks, Bob. As Bob mentioned, this portion of the meeting is a public hearing on this proposed ordinance. And if anyone desires to speak, we need for you to come up and sign with the board's administrative staff. And then when your name is called, you can come up to the podium, state your name, your residence, zip code, and you'll be given 2 minutes to provide comments. And we kindly ask that your comments be directed solely to this proposed ordinance number 2025-02. So do we have anybody that wants to come up and speak? Okay, I don't see anybody. Bob, do you? Okay. See no one from the public wishing to comment, I will now close the public hearing and turn this matter over to the board for discussion. Are there any questions or comments from the board members? All right. With that, we'll now close the public hearing and turn this matter, as we've already done, over to the board. And seeing there are no questions, would like to call for a vote on the adoption of proposed ordinance number 2025.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Second.
Directors, given that this is the adoption of ordinance, we have to do a roll call vote per your bylaws. So please indicate your vote on proposed ordinance 2025-02 when I call your name. Director Smith? What? Director Slash?
Aye.
Director Quick? Director Fagan? Director Wilson? Director Gardner?
Aye.
Director Hahn, the ordinance is adopted. I'd also like to note that during that presentation, Director Quick arrived, so she is present now.
Thank you. Next is action item A3, and that's a consideration and approval of a contract with Anthem for group health, dental, and stop loss insurance. Brett Griffin, our Chief Development Officer, will make the presentation. Brett?
Good afternoon, directors. Brett Griffin, Chief People Officer. As you know, this is an annual event for us, so I'll get started here. It is recommended that the Board of Directors authorize the President and CEO to enter into a contract with Anthem for employee group health, dental, vision insurance, and stop loss coverage. For current member enrollment at an annual estimated cost of $12,754,000 and $678 for medical, $391,346 for dental, and $80,750 for vision, respectively, subject to increases or decreases based on our future enrollment. Our vendor from LHD, our vendor will be here soon. He just texted me and said he's on his way. He's stuck in traffic of 465. But to provide a little background, as I said, this is an annual enrollment that we actually go through with Anthem. We take pride in being able to provide a healthy workforce by providing them with benefits that will assist them in being healthy. As a part of the benefits package, IPTC provides its workforce with insurance coverages to help employees offset the cost of health care and to help the employee maintain good overall well-being. To provide a little bit more information as it relates to Anthem, Anthem is the current incumbent vendor who provides group health, dental, and vision insurance for us. The health plan with Anthem is self-funded. Indigo's benefits advisory firm, LHD, Benefits Advisor, was able to secure a rate hold on Anthem's administrative fees for health plan and also a rate hold for stop loss insurance premiums as well. So really want to applaud them for that work. LHD sent out a request for RFP to reinsurance carriers, but Anthem Stop Loss provided the best overall financial coverage for Indigo and health plans. Also this year, the new 2026 Indigo will offer a new high deductible health plan option for employees, which may have slightly lower premiums for employees compared to the current high deductible plan. Overall, there will be no changes in terms of network disruptions for the medical, dental, and vision for the plan year of 2026, staying with Anthem. So open it up for any questions from anybody.
Brett, I have a couple. Number
Sure.
one, do we do any kind of an audit on the enrollment and making sure that folks that have been on it or maybe not eligible to be on it anymore, like if their kids are over a certain age?
Yeah, great question and great timing. As this is Bob Paya, who is our broker for LHD. He provides a great service for us and has been with us for a number of years. So I think he's well positioned to answer that.
I apologize, Greg. Can you repeat the question?
I was asking, I've been asked this by several people about, do we do any sort of an audit to make sure that there aren't people that are on the policy that shouldn't be on? Like the one example I keep getting asked is, well, if their children are eligible up to what, age 26?
Correct. So yeah,
If they're over 26, are they still on the policy because nobody's looking at it? It's those kind of questions.
yeah. Well, Anthem as our claim TPA administrator, they will come across situations like that possibly in a claim if it's submitted and they identify that that dependent's not eligible due to the age limit, for example. But in terms of an audit, when you're a self-funded employer group, that'd be something that you would take on yourself internally.
Okay.
Or externally. There's external vendors you can hire as well. We have assisted clients do those type of audits and go through that process. It can be somewhat extensive because besides children, you also want to audit eligible spouses as well.
Oh.
And that process can take some time because you typically need to give people advance notice that we're going to be requiring you to provide some documentation in terms of like marriage licenses that you're, a legal married couple, or documentation about your eligible dependents. and verify they're truly eligible dependents under the plan. So that is something that Indigo could consider for your self-funded health plan.
Okay, thank you very much. That's good to know. And the reason I think the question came up is people, obviously with the cost of healthcare continue to go up, are we doing everything we can to make sure to keep the premiums down and not have people on the plan that shouldn't be there? That's kind of how the issue was approached. to me.
Correct. And I think it is a good to do. It's something that most of our clients don't do every year, but may do every few years, every 3, 5, or so many years when they feel like it, just do an audit to make sure everybody that's truly covered by the plan are truly eligible dependents for the plan.
Okay. Thank you very much. And, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to clarify something in my mind. I'm looking at the PPO plan, assuming wellness discount. We have an employee-only price, an employee and spouse price, an employee and child or children price, and then we have an employee and family. What's the difference between employee and children and employee and family?
The difference between those two categories is basically a spouse. So if you're in the family category, it's the employee, their spouse, and then children, a child or multiple children. It could be one child, it could be as many
So like a
children.
single parent would be a employee and children, and employee and family would be the employee's spouse and their
Correct.
kids?
That's correct. So
Okay, very
yes,
good, thanks.
correct.
It
Yeah.
was
So
just unclear to me how that,
the employee and child or children category is an employee and one child or multiple children, but no spouse.
Single family homes.
thank you.
Any,
Correctly, there's no increase in the premium for the employee for the PPO plan?
Yeah, there's just a slight increase.
Yeah, there is a slight increase. It's 4% for the employees. The overall needed increase for the health plan for 2026 was like close to 8%. I think it was like 7.8% rounding up. But through review of the premium shares and with agreements, Indigo is not sharing the full increase with employees, but the employees are seeing a 4% increase.
And that is good. I've heard of organizations where the increase has been in double digits. So thank you.
And
on that.
one of the things I want to applaud, Bart, Kirsten, Seacrest, who's not here today, and also Bob is, as we stated earlier, we did have a rate hold on the stop loss insurance and also the administrative fees from Anthem as well, which I think was excellent.
Yes, so our fixed costs under the plan in terms of the administrative fee that we pay Anthem to administer the plan for us, it was a rate hold. We have reinsurance, which protects Indigo from high cost claims. We were able to secure that as a rate hold as well for 2026. So the increase that you're seeing is terms of projected claims. And that's by reviewing historical data and projecting forward what would be a reasonable expectation of claims based on the population. And then obviously, I'm sure, I apologize for being a little late, but we are introducing a new health plan option as well for 26. So people have an additional option to consider as well, which will be at a slightly lower cost.
Hey, Brett, do we have any historical data on the number of employees that actually utilize the wellness piece?
We do. We do have that from Marathon, and we're examining that each day. One of the things we're working with Marathon on is not only the usage, but the type of usage. And we've had some challenges there that we're working through with them. We recently met with their CEO to talk through some of those things as it relates to their availability to actually see our employees. And that's an ongoing discussion with them. Yeah.
that answer your question. Any other questions from the board? Okay.
Thank you.
With that, can I get a motion for consideration and approval of the contract with Anthem for group health, dental, and stop loss insurance?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Let the record show there was no nays and this is approved and passes. Anything else on the, Bob, you want to add?
No,
Okay.
motion carried.
All right. Next is action item A4, consideration approval of new foundation board members. There she is. Emily Mew, Indigo Foundation Executive Director, will make a presentation.
Good afternoon, executives. My director, excuse me. My name is Emily Moe, and I'm the executive director of the Indigo Foundation. Excuse me for my voice today. I'm here to request approval of appointing 3 new members to our board of directors. These members have been vetted by the Indigo Foundation board at our October meeting, and we're here to request that you all approve them. The 3 members are Keith Johnson, Hardeek Shaw, and Jeff Pellin. I have their bios there listed for you. That to preserve my voice, I'm going to not read them all, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer that. I think some of them may also be on the call. We did invite them to this in case you wanted to talk to them. So that's, sorry.
Emily, are they replacing people or are these addition to?
So we have, our bylaws let us go up to 19 board members. We had 2 board members resign this year due to changing their jobs. Like Adam Bertner moved to Washington, D.C. because he got a promotion. So happy for those members, but we're down to 14. And so this would bring us up to 17 having these. So yes, replacing, but also adding.
Okay. Any board members have any questions for Emily? No?
No, I do. Well, I do want to point out, and just in case anybody asks, that Hardeek Shaw is the husband of our former colleague, Hardy Shaw. And so the Indigo Foundation Board did have some discussion about, was this a potential conflict of interest? Was there something in both of them being involved in the board? And we really can't figure out where that would be.
Mm-hmm.
But in the spirit of full transparency, I wanted everybody to know that there was that connection, especially since Hardy is going to be the chairman of that board next year in 2026. So just wanted to get that on the record. Thanks.
And we did discuss that perhaps we wouldn't have them be chair and vice chair at the same time. That's spreading out their service on the executive committee. So.
Okay. Well, can I get a motion for consideration and approval of the new Indigo Foundation board members?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. There being a motion, a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any that are opposed, say nay. No nays, so that passes. We've got 3 new board members.
Thank you.
Pretty painless, Emily. Thank you.
Yeah. Next action item is A5, and that's consideration of approval of purchasing 20 new Gen Fair Fast Fare fare boxes. Treasury Manager John Mann, there he is, will make the presentation.
Good afternoon, directors. It is recommended that the Board of Directors authorize the President and CEO to enter a purchase agreement with Gen Fair for 20 new fast fare fare boxes for a total cost of $381,365.63. Our current fleet of fixed route fare boxes consists of approximately 100 fast fare fare boxes and 128 Odyssey fare boxes. The Odyssey fare box was introduced to Indigo in 2007. In 2022, December 2022, excuse me, Gen Fair ceased production of those Odyssey fare boxes and replaced them with the manufacturing of its new fare box type, which is the fast fare. This purchase will be the 4th purchase of our annual partial replacement of fare boxes, which was included in the 5-year capital plan. Indigo will continue to operate with both Odyssey and fast fare fare boxes for the next several years. All fare processes will remain the same for everyone involved, including riders, coach operators, and treasury personnel. These fare boxes typically have a 10-year life expectancy.
Mr. Chairman, John, you say that I note that these fare boxes typically have a 10-year lifespan. And so in 2022, they quit making them. I'm assuming that we haven't purchased any since 2022.
We have not purchased Odyssey fare
Right,
boxes.
Odyssey fare
Right,
boxes in
correct.
2022. So,
Yeah.
so by 2031-ish, these are not going to be serviceable any longer. Is that accurate statement?
We'll continue to use them as long as they last. So actually, we actually use the parts as well. They're interchangeable with the fast fare box.
So I guess my question is, are we planning to have replaced all of the Odyssey fare boxes with the new fast fare boxes within the 5-year capital plan timeframe?
Yes, as long as we continue to purchase additional in the next few years.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, if there are no other questions, can I get a motion for consideration and approval of purchasing 20 new Gen Fare, Fast Fare fare boxes?
So moved.
That's 3 times.
We've got a motion and a second. There being a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Let the record show there were no nays, and so item action A5 passes. Thank you very much. Thanks, John. Next is action item A6, and that's consideration approval of current Brinks cash collection contract through 2026. And John will speak to that as well.
Good afternoon again. We meet again. It is recommended that the Board of Directors authorize the President and CEO to extend the current Brinks cash collection contract to the end of 2026 at a cost of $135,000. This cash collection contract is the daily Monday through Friday collection of fixed route revenue at the West Campus and CTC retail desk revenue, as well as the monthly revenue collections on the BRT routes, the 64 ticket vending machines located there. Extending Indigo's current Brinks contract minimizes operational risk, maintains continuity of service, and provides the opportunity to evaluate how the transition to Masabi's fare validation system may affect TVM usage, revenue handling, and future armored transport requirements. This approach will ensure that our next procurement strategy aligns with both current operational realities and future system changes. The original board approval was in August of 2019 for the current Brinks contract for the amount not to exceed $1.5 million for a 5-year agreement. As of now, we've only spent $831,018.50. The extension will avoid potential transition costs associated with rebidding or onboarding a new vendor prematurely, while also ensuring accurate financial forecasting as Indigo prepares for the 2026 Masabi implementation.
Questions from the board? None? Okay. Can I get a motion for consideration and approval of current Brinks cash collection contract through 2026?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Let the record show there's no nays and approved unanimously. Okay, thank you very much. Action item A7 is consideration and approval of task order for construction engineering services, Far East Side bus stop improvements, and Rachel Wilson, our project manager, will make the presentation. Thanks, Rachel.
Afternoon, members of the board. It is recommended that the Board of Directors authorize the IPTC President and CEO to execute a task order with Burgess and Nyepel for construction engineering and inspection services related to the Far East Side bus stop improvements project in the amount not to exceed $288,121. So some background, this is part of our long-range plan to improve local bus stops and make them all ADA accessible across the city. We've been doing many packages each year to just chip away at that goal. So this is the next round. We have 55 bus stops that we plan to bid in early 2026 and build out in 2026, possibly into 27 a little bit. But this particular task order is for the inspection services where Burgess and Nyepel has an existing on-call contract where they've done a couple other projects for us in the past and have done good work. They are out there in the field, making sure our contractors are building the plans per specifications and keeping up with daily logs and field reports and just overseeing the quality of the project overall. So funding of this task order is included in the 2025 local budget. And they did put in some XBE effort of 2.4% commitment from JQOL, LADS Consulting, and Project Photo Docs. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the board? I guess the only question I'd ask is, if the 2.4% is appropriate. I mean, I don't know what services, I know JQOL, I know that company, but it just seems like 2.4 is a little low for this kind of work.
It does seem lower, and there is opportunity. They can, these other staff can go out and do some of the inspection. I know the project photo docs, that was a small amount for taking photos of the project before and after. That's just what it was this time. That's just for this task order. I believe overall for their contract, it's higher.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just thinking that we're up into the teens on minority participation, and it just seemed like this was awful low for this kind of a contract. But if you're happy with it, that's what counts.
It's okay as long as overall they're putting in the good faith and doing the work.
What's the value, the total value of the contract?
The total, it's an on-call, so it's I don't think there's a ceiling established on it. This is the 6th task order, so they're a little over $1 million between all 6 task orders.
Okay. So it's like Greg said, 2.4% of the total?
Of just this $288,000 task order.
Okay, all right, just the part. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Can I get a motion for consideration or approval of task order for construction engineering services for the Far East Side bus stop improvements?
So moved.
Got a second?
Second.
All right. There being a motion and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Let the record show there's no nays and passed by unanimous vote. Thank you very much, Rachel. Next is action item A8, and that's consideration approval to enter into insurance brokerage service contract. And the director of our risk and safety, Brian Clem, will make that presentation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Board of Directors. My name is Brian Clem, Director of Risk and Safety. It is recommended that the Board of Directors authorize the President and CEO to enter into a 3-year contract with 2 one-year options with Aon Risk Services Central Incorporated. The total cost of the contract is not to exceed $182,364 for the initial 3 years or $318,459 for all 5 years if each year, option year is executed. What we have in your proposal today is a table to help reference the yearly cost as well as the cumulative cost throughout the contract. Some background, Aon is our current incumbent for broker insurance coverage of our commercial insurance and self-insured program, as well as auto liability. Some discussion that we've had was on September 5th of 2025. IPTC published a request for proposal for insurance broker services. 4 proposals were received and were evaluated by a panel of 5 Indigo employees. And the firms that submitted the top 2 proposals were asked to submit a best and final offer, or BAFO. Upon receiving the BAFO, the evaluation committee selected the proposal submitted by Aon for contract award as best value. This project is funded with the yearly budget submitted through our operations budget. Sorry, a little redundant there, but it is an operations funded budget each year. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes my report and recommendation of the Board of Directors. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Hey, Brian, it's me again. So, this is these guys are providing brokerage services. We're not paying for insurance. These guys are going out and finding the insurance for us, right? So they're probably getting something from the insurance companies, but yet our costs go up every year by about, what is it, about, doing quick math in my head, 8% maybe? Can you explain why that is? I mean, if they're just providing brokerage services, why are they jacking the price up every year?
All right, so I'll explain that in the next 5 hours. So broker services, and you're exactly right, Rick, how you mentioned, you have to be licensed to enter the insurance market to be able to engage underwriters to submit a quote back for your level of risk. We call it total cost of risk is what that is. So with those services, there's a fee to that, the broker services fee and their licensing fee. So that's what this is what those fees are every year, or what the contract is for them every year. This proposal was written, as we've done in the past, as we're good stewards of taxpayers' money. We put in our proposal and our scope of work in our contract that these are to be underwritten, our insurance is to be underwritten at 0 commission to our taxpayers in the Indigo. So when they engage underwriters to write property coverage for us, or whatever type of coverage it is, I said property, it could have been one of the other ones. It is listed at 0 commission for us. So there is a cost for a broker to underwrite insurance, and then there is a premium cost with the underwriters that we would also pay. So there's 2 types of pay. The really expensive one is what type of risk we have and how much is it going to cost with the underwriters. The brokers are the ones that are brokering the deal, which is the best value for Indigo and the best coverages for Indigo.
So are they backloading the contract then?
You mean with cost?
Yeah.
I think the cost is reflective of potential market inflation with the brokers. I'm not a broker myself, and I don't underwrite insurance, but we are proposing the brokers with the best experience to do that for
Okay,
us.
I'm just curious because it just seems like it's a pretty significant increase year after year after year after year after year. So, but it is what it is. But thanks for the explanation.
I will mention, though, that if it helps, when we evaluated the cost estimates for the bid cost offer form in the RFP, this was in line for what we saw with the other proposals. There was an increase year after year for that broker fee. So this wasn't out of range for anything the evaluation committee saw. It does seem like that it was apparent that there was an increased cost year over year.
Thanks, Brian. I always beat you up on this every year. I apologize, but good job. Thank you.
Is it also, I'm just speculating that it goes up, it's also going up because of the building of the blue line? And I mean, is that got anything to do with it?
No, not on this part of the contract. What we actually did was we executed a separate task order, and we did leverage our contract with our broker services when we did the blue line. So the blue line wasn't a part of our normal profile because it was an additional project we did. So the blue line was kind of a carve out that we needed. What we also try to do is we defer risk whenever possible if it's in the best interest of IPTC. So on contracts, we look at, is it cheaper for the contractor to provide the insurance through a ISIP versus an OSIP, which is owner-controlled insurance program. And on this Blue Line project we chose to do the owner-controlled, which actually reduced our cost. Typically, it's about 24% cost savings on premium if it's administered by the owner versus a contractor. So it's not the Blue Line.
Okay. And just follow up with Rick's question. This was there were, I assume, several people who bid on this, right? It was an RFP.
Yeah, there were four bidders that were found responsive and responsible that submitted bids that were evaluated through the evaluation committee.
Okay. And was this the cheapest one? I mean, was it all based decision? I'm sure that, like you said, they had to qualify. And then was this the least, were they the lowest?
Yeah, let me check with my counsel real quick.
Okay.
Terry Clay, Senior Director of Procurement. There were two bidders that were found responsive and responsible within the competitive range after the initial evaluation was complete. So those two bidders we went back to and asked for best and final offers. And then that was resubmitted to the committee for them to review. This was the lowest price in those that were found in competitive range.
That's what you wanted to know, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It just bothers me when we do these X-year contracts and it just seems like we get bent over by software companies and by insurance companies and all this stuff. And we keep paying, every year it just keeps going up and going up and going up and going up. And I thought the whole idea behind these X-year contracts was to lock in a price so that it didn't keep going up and going up and going up and going up. I don't know. It seems to me that, well, that's not enough.
I will note that when we did the best and final, we benefited from a savings. I believe it was about 40,000 in the life of the 5-year contract. So that was helpful in the overall cost.
Okay. That's good to know. Thanks. All right. Any other questions from board members? Okay, can I get a motion in a second?
Second.
Okay. There being a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing no nays, this action item 8 passes.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Okay, next is action item A9, consideration of approval of resolution number 2025-09 for free fair days for 2026. And Chief of Public Affairs Officer, Carrie Black.
Hello, directors. Yes, I am Chief Public Affairs Officer Carrie Black, and it is that time of the year again. So it is recommended the Board of Directors authorize the President and CEO to approve free rides for the following days in the year of 2026. Transit Equity Day, that's on February 4th, and Election Day, Tuesday, November 3rd. I will note these 2 days are pending funding. That is because the Indigo Foundation is entering their final steps in securing donors for those 2 dates. But that's just a step away, and that should be taken care of. Then the rest of the days include Thanksgiving Day on November the 26th, Christmas Day, December 25th, and New Year's Eve after 8 p.m. on December the 31st. Just a little bit of background. The foundation has supported free fares over the last 5 years for various holidays, election days, sponsored days, and special events. It is always the agency's top priority to ensure that that we're removing that cost, that barrier of transportation costs, promoting safe travel and alternatives during these important times in our cities. So these are promotions that can really help support, attract, and retain new riders. So ridership revenue, those are always important things. And by having these free fare days, it's an opportunity for folks to sample our service and then hopefully continue to ride with us. That concludes my presentation, and I'm open to any questions.
Not a question, just an observation. Since this requires board action.
Yes.
To authorize these fare-free days, I think it would be wise that your staff doesn't put out, we're going to do free fares at 11:30 in the morning on the day of the board meeting when we have not yet voted on it. Does that make
So
sense?
the free fare the fare for the day that, so these are free fares for 2026. The notice that we put out today for Thanksgiving is 2025, which the board approved last.
Oh, so, okay, I
Yes,
just
yeah.
want to make sure that I was clear on that because it talks about the fare increase and it talks about, well, I'm not gonna.
Sure.
I withdraw. Thanks.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion for consideration and approval of resolution number 2025-09?
So moved. Oh,
Fair days for 2026.
I was just getting the jump, Mr. Chair. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Stan.
I think that the issue would be, if you didn't fund everything, how would you pay for those? Would Indigo have to pay for those, and not the foundation?
If we, excuse me, if we do not secure the funding for those 2 days that I mentioned, Transit Equity Day and Election Day, then we would not offer free fare on those days.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Or that we would secure a donor from somewhere would be the ultimate goal.
Mr. Chair.
Well, your question is, what about the other 3 days? That comes out of our height. We pay for that.
Okay.
I mean, I think what Carrie means is you have the right to fund those days if we don't find funding.
Okay.
So the board can fund any day for fare free. What I think she's saying is we'll withdraw our request for those fare free days if we don't find funding. So we'll report back to the board on what the result is of that.
What I meant.
Let's try it again.
Oh,
Can I
Mr.
get a
Chair,
motion for consideration? Oh,
we have a motion and second.
we had to do it again after questioning or
No,
not? Okay.
no, but we do have to take a roll call vote because it's a resolution. So, Director,
Yeah, we have a second.
yes, yeah, we had a motion and a second. Pretty certain.
Are you?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, go ahead.
So there's some gazes at me looking confused. So pretty sure I heard a motion in a second. So, directors, on the present motion to approve resolution number 2025-09, please indicate your vote when I call your name. Director Smith, Director Slash, Director Quick, Director Fagan, Director Wilson.
Aye.
Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Hahn.
Aye.
The motion carries and the resolution is adopted.
Thank you.
Much. Okay, the next is action item A10. And that's consideration or approval of fuel supplier contract for the 2026 calendar year. And Director of Fleet Services, Devon Smith, will make the presentation.
Good afternoon, I'm Devin Smith, Director of Fleet Services. So it is recommended that the Board of Directors authorize the President and Chief Executive Officer to execute a contract to purchase 1,710,000 gallons of premium ultra low sulfur diesel fuel from Gresham Petroleum at a total cost of $4,031,667 to fuel IPTC's bus fleet through the 2026 calendar year. So this is a continuation of what we brought to the board last month with the final numbers. So what the bids came in at was $2.36 per gallon, which is up 4 cents from last year, but still a pretty good price. So I think we did pretty well there. Yeah, there's no real updates from that. If there's any information you guys would like me to present this time, please let me know and I can clarify any information.
Do we have any questions or comments from the board? Okay, can I get a motion for consideration and approval of fuel supplier contract for the 2026 calendar year?
So moved.
Second.
There being a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Let the record show there's no nays and A10 passes.
You.
Thanks a lot. Well, you're up next too, aren't you? Action item A11, consideration approval of two 40-foot battery electric buses for fixed route services.
Once again, Devin Smith, Director of Fleet Services. So recommendation, it is recommended that the Board of Directors authorize the President and Chief Executive Officer to purchase one 40-foot battery electric bus, including associated equipment and services, each from New Flyer of America Incorporated and Gillig LLC at a total cost of $2,836,356, plus an additional 3 to 15% for potential tariff cost increase. So a little bit of background on this. In 2022, IPTC received funding from the Indianapolis Metropolitan Planning Organization to facilitate the purchase of two 40-foot battery electric buses to determine the viability and feasibility of incorporating them into our fleet so that we can test them under real-world conditions and see how they function within an Indigo. The IMPO Federal Flux Funding Exchange Program is being administrated as a grant through the Federal Transit Administration Authority, or FTA, sorry. Now, so the two buses that we're considering, the one is from New Flyer of America. That particular bus, the XE40, costs $1.4 million, and it comes with a 660 kilowatt hour battery pack. The Gillig BEB costs also $1.4 million, slightly more expensive at $1,426,000, and includes a 588 kilowatt hour battery pack. Both of these vehicles would be purchased through the State of Washington contract, same as that we are doing for the Blue Line New Flyers. The fiscal impact of this, so 80% of the funds would be from that grant and 20% would come from the capital budget. And for this, the DBE and XB transit vehicle manufacturers are required by the FTA to maintain their own DBE programs. Happy to answer any questions on these.
Kevin, you mentioned that you wanted, that we were going to, I guess this is proof of concept of whether or not these buses will work on our fixed route as opposed to the BRT lines?
Correct. That would be, we'd be studying how they do so that if we did want to electrify the fleet in the future or move in that direction, this would be, allow us to make informed decisions around that.
So do we have a scope on that? Is it like a 1-year study, a 2-year study, 6-month study? Or is it going to be just kind of ongoing through the life cycle of the vehicles? Or how, I guess I'm trying to understand. I understand we get free money from the feds.
Yep.
And that's always nice. But I mean, the experience that we've had in the past with electric buses on our BRT lines is not good. And are we anticipating that the technology has evolved to make these things more practical for our fixed route?
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you bring up the BRT lines because this is in some ways a response to that, right? Because we moved from the BRT lines, we kind of jumped straight in without having done this process. Whereas now we have the opportunity to get these buses and really try them out and see how it is. Because many of the problems that we have with the BYDs is that they didn't quite perform as we expected. And we built a service around vehicles that haven't done what we thought they should do. And so by looking at these, we'll be able to get that data and make, a genuinely informed decision on what we can. And so to your technology point, the technology on these vehicles continues to improve at a regular basis. In fact, I was talking to the sales rep for New Flyer today, and they had already made some adjustments to the battery packs. So just to show you the rate, we got this quote back in July, and they've already made some changes to improvements.
So is the plan then to put these buses into regular revenue service on a route or on various routes throughout the system then to actually see how they perform on on a daily rotational basis then?
Yes, sir. They would just be part of, like, we'd be using them similar to what we use the diesels right now. Ideally, we'd be able to put them in on similar routes. So we try to get the most like for like performance that we could, So instead of putting on them one route that's out for 12 hours or whatnot, we try to find a way that they were treated somewhat equally so we could get a decent comparison. Because not only are we trying to determine whether the electrification is a potential way forward, but do we want to move forward with the New Flyer? Do we want to move forward with the Gillig?
Our only choices then, New Flyer and Gillig are the only ones that make a fully electric bus, 40-passenger bus?
Does that meet the appropriate Buy America grants and that they're also, we can get them through Washington State. So they were the main options.
Got it. Okay, great. Thanks.
Hey, Devin, just real quickly, 2 questions. How will you report progress back to us on this? And then the second, when will these get here pending we approve this today?
Yeah, so the second part of that question is easier. So we have, once it gets into the DES portal with Washington State, they have 18 months to deliver. So we should see them conceivably summertime of 27, right around when our Blue Line New Flyers should show up as well. As for the data aspect, so the biggest thing that we'd be looking at is range, charging times, things like that. So how far can these buses actually go? How does the weather affect them? How does a full passenger load affect them? Because all these things tie into where, what it is. Do they not do very well in the snow? These are things that we just want to monitor all aspects of their performance to understand where their weaknesses are and what their strengths are. Like I said, I think but those are the 2 big aspects: range, how they charge, and then how we can, how quickly we can spin them around and go that. And we can put numbers to almost all of those aspects.
Okay.
Can you also look at the cost of operation? I don't think I've ever seen any data, and it's probably not fair because the BRT buses are large articulated buses. But it would be interesting to me to see what our cost of operation, or especially with regard to maintenance costs, because diesel buses require a lot of maintenance. And I just don't know. I'm not familiar at all with what the maintenance schedules look like for a fully battery operated bus.
The maintenance department does keep a cost per mile, like a $1 per mile count for all of our vehicles. So we can maintain that. Now, there is a challenge, we will admit, with the electric buses right now, because one of the main cost per mile aspects of a diesel is the diesel that's going into it. However, from the electrical charge, that's much harder. I know Sadaji is here. He can probably, he's been working on that for the Nelson and Nygaard study. But, how do we separate out what electricity is going towards these lights versus what's going into our chargers for the BYDs? We don't have a very good process for that yet. And we're working on, how to better understand that. But for the cost of the bus maintenance itself, we do keep pretty close track of how much each one of these will cost.
Thanks. Good answer.
Any other questions from any other board members? Thanks, Devin. Can I get a motion for consideration or approval of 2 40-foot battery electric buses for fixed route services?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right. There's being a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Let the record show there's no nays, and it's approved by unanimous vote.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, we have item 5, information items. First is item I1, and that's a financial report presented by our CFO, Bart Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening. Bart Brown, CFO for Indigo. This is our October 2025 financial summary. Under revenue, federal assistance revenue came in under budget for the month by $848,795. That is due to the fact that we've been reimbursed for all the preventive maintenance that we are eligible for the year. So we got that in early. And the remainder of the reimbursements are for ADA paratransit operations. Year to date, this revenue is over budget by $1,373,000. Other operating revenue category came in over budget, $5,386,675 for the month. $5 million was received from DPW for their share of the $15 million toward the blue line, and then $500,000 for East Side bus stop improvements that you heard about earlier. And for the year, we're over budget by $4,731,000. Passenger service, good news, was over budget by $6,525 for the month. And for the year, though, we're still under budget, $220,048. Our PMTF grant, property tax revenue, and local income tax, along with service reimbursement, are all on budget for the month and for the year. So our total revenue for the agency was over budget. For the month, $4,701,000. For the year, we're over budget, $7,866,000. Turning to expenditures, personal services. Fringe benefits were under budget for the month, $460,585. For the year, we're under budget, $4,433,530. Overtime expenditures were over budget, $235,927 for the month, and for the year, we're over budget, $1,817,000. Then for salary expenditures, we were over budget for the month, $267,256. And that was due because of a fifth payroll week for union employees. And then year to date, we're under budget, $3,861,000. Personnel services category in total was over budget for the month, $42,598, and under budget for the year, $6,477,000. Other service and charges claims were over budget by $181,400 for the month, and for the year, though, we're under budget, $945,789. And then miscellaneous expense category was over budget by $23,196, and for the year, we're under budget by $314,768. And going forward, with the suggestion by our chair of the Finance Committee, we're going to start adding a couple of some of the categories for that, because miscellaneous just doesn't do a good job of describing what we're spending money on. Then purchase transportation category is over budget by $106,450 for the month. For the year, we're over budget $592,470. And then services expense category under budget by $80,031, and under budget for the year, $11,008,000. For the month, utility expenditures under budget $16,828. For the year, utilities under budget $98,383. So for all services and charges category, we're over budget for the month, $214,187, and for the year, we're under budget, $11,775,000. And then finally, materials and supplies. Fuel and lubricant category, under budget by $163,812 for the month, and for the year, we're under budget by $1,460,000. And you can expect to see that going next year with the great pricing we had for the fuel that Devin just told us about. We budgeted $3.25, so we're almost a whole dollar under the budget going into next year. And I guarantee you that Justin and Andrea will make sure that nobody spends that money without board approval. For the month of October, the maintenance materials category is over budget by $220,000, and it's over budget for the year, $51,734. Materials and supplies under budget, $42,732 for the year, under budget $825,587, and tires and tubes categories under budget. In October, $19,680, and then for the year, we're under budget, $294,434. Then for all materials and supplies, under budget, $6,062 for the month, and for the year, under budget, $2,528,000. And then for all total expenditures, we came in over budget by $250,723, and year to date, we are under budget, $20,781,000. And there were no non-budget requests for last month. Mr. Chair, that concludes my report. What questions can I answer for the board?
Well, Bart and I have these long, in-depth conversations once a month prior to the board meeting. But I do want to commend his whole staff. I mean, we sat down and we're looking through some stuff, and just they're finding incredible ways to leverage the resources that the organization has, and Terry as well, with the procurement stuff. I'm just really excited about it, especially in light of my obsession with fiscal sustainability. this is really kind of a really good news story. And I shared with the finance committee members, I'd share with the rest of my colleagues on the board that Bart's going to start, similar to the unfunded budget requests, that he's going to put a little chart for those miscellaneous expenses that'll outline what those miscellaneous expenses are, so that we all have some transparency and visibility on where that money is going. I personally just can't stand miscellaneous categories. Although I do understand they're necessary, because I mean, you don't want to create a budget line item for, a one-time $500 purchase, but some of the things that are in that category are fairly substantial. Cell phones, for instance, training, travel, all that kind of stuff that I think the board needs to be aware of. So I'm grateful, Bart, to you and your entire team for really opening this thing up. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Yes,
Any other comments, questions?
Are we on a calendar year? Okay.
Well, yes, sir. Yeah. So our fiscal year starts January 1st.
Anything else? Okay, thanks, Bart. Let's see, next item, I2, and that is a report from Indigo Foundation. Executive Director, Emily Mew.
Good afternoon, directors. I'm Emily Moe, the Executive Director of the Indigo Foundation. Go to the next slide. Happy to present to you all for our quarterly report that is outlined in our MOU together. So updating you all on some things we've had going on lately. Our 5th annual golf outing happened in September. Our net was 85,000 on that event, and we had 175 golfers with 100 companies involved this year. We made a bit less than we have in the past, about 15,000 less than last year. And so our event follow-up has been heavier for that reason, but also just we're getting better at our communications with donors and getting more individual donors. So before the event, we identified the attendees with the highest propensity to give, and then Jenny and I were on a golf cart with a photographer, and we made sure to get pictures with those people first, and then as many other foursomes as we could. And then some of you may have seen in our follow-up thank you letters, we sent actual pictures from the event to people, and so that was really well received. We got some great feedback on that. And then our golf impact report was emailed to participants 6 weeks after the event. And then I think it's even my next slide. We have lots of other communication things planned, actually, in a couple slides, but I'll do this first. So this morning we had our first Near East, or our first bus stop tour. This was to celebrate the completion of the project, or almost completed, for the 79 bus stops on the Near East side. I know Rachel has presented to you all in the past about these stops, and then the next group of stops is the Far East side that was talked about today. So we had several of the funders there. I know Director Wilson and Director Gardner were able to join us this morning, so hope you enjoyed that. The bus stops are something that it just looks like concrete a lot of times when you're looking at it. It can be kind of uneventful, I guess, when you see it. Concrete's very expensive, but when we were able to look at the whole corridors, like on 34th Street, all together, it's really wonderful to see how these improvements at each stop are impacting the community. Next slide. A little background for you all about how this a little over $2 million project was funded. So it was a public-private partnership with a mix of funds secured by the foundation and by Indigo. So I have that split up for you all. $1 million of it was from DPW. They have an Indianapolis neighborhood investment project, something. It's a cost share that your nonprofits are able to apply for. And so the foundation has applied for that for the last 4 years. I believe it was 2 years of that went to this Near East project. We this year secured our 4th, and that will be going towards the Far East project. And then we were able to match some funds with IU Health, Fifth Third Foundation, and MyBor to complement what Indigo secured with the federal grant, an FTA grant, and then Indigo's local fund. So it really is coming all together from different sources. And I think this is a great example of what we can do with the foundation, is finding as much money as we can to support this public infrastructure. So I'm happy to see that this was, these projects take years. I mean, literally 4 years we've been working on funding and all that. So happy to see it come to life. Next. Maybe. This is what I was referring to about just some of our communication activities that are going on. It takes about a dozen touch points on general that you're trying to get in front of donors every year. And so we have newsletters, we have thank you letters, like our board just this past week have been sending handwritten thank you cards to our first time donors this year. We have a holiday card coming up. We're finalizing our corporate sponsorship packet to talk about 2026 sponsorships. So there's always something going on and always something that we're working on to get out, and whether it's a stewardship purpose or the purpose is more solicitation. We're trying to get in front of people as much as we can all throughout the year. Next. So some summary things that I typically share with you all. This is our chart that we've been using this year to show you all how many donor meetings we've had. Those have been ramped up a little bit lately. We added a new fundraising consultant in September, October time period. So she's been adding to our list of donors that we're able to meet with. Yvonne on our team has submitted 63 grant applications this year, which I think is a record for us. We're finding with our grants, as you all probably are familiar, the nonprofit world this year has kind of been flipped on its head in a lot of ways of how funding for the nonprofit world is working. And so we're finding grants this year to be incredibly competitive. It's not for lack of trying. I know we've put in more than we have before, and we're doing more than we have before in terms of building those relationships with funders. There's still several grants that are out there pending that we're waiting on. I was just telling someone earlier today, I think this week's probably the year or the week that a lot of organizations are having their end of year board meetings, and we probably will get those decisions in the first week of December. So that'll be coming soon. Next.
Emily, can I ask you
Yeah.
just a quick question? So of the grant, so what I'm reading here, it looks like you had 11 of the 63 grants have produced some fruit.
So far, yes.
Okay.
There's still 500,000 so pending. I'm not sure how many that equates to, the number of grants that equates to, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I will say some of those grants are like Walmart, we have to apply for each store. So sometimes it might be $1,000 request. Sometimes it's $100,000 request. So those are all mixed in there. I did want to highlight for you all a couple donors today, just to show you the donor cycle or how things are working. It's hard to believe I just celebrated my 5th anniversary with Indigo Foundation. And so looking back at some of these donors and relationships that were started early on. In 2021 with One America Foundation, we got our first gift from them. And then they had staff changeover, and then they had priorities change. But we continue to try to meet with donors like that every year and stay in touch with them. This year, Yvonne and I met with them, which led to some further questions about what would BRT sponsorship look like. And then we got Carrie involved with some meetings with Indigo. And several meetings later this fall, we have a commitment from them to support the Transit Equity Day celebration as the presenting sponsor for that. And then there's a verbal pledge that still has to be approved at their January board meeting to support free fare on Transit Equity Day. So that was something that Carrie mentioned, pending funding. It's a procedural thing. We wanted to be sure we had your approval so that we can act quickly, because February 4th comes up really fast. And then also today you just approved one of their executive team members to be on our board. So it just shows that these relationships take a long time, but eventually they start finding their place. I think One America, if our partner Denise was here to tell you, they really see Transit Equity Day as something that they want to own and get more involved in. So happy to have that kind of partnership. And then next I wanted to highlight a smaller business, Midwest Presort Service and the Scales family that owns Midwest Presort. They're a small business operating in Indianapolis since the 80s. We do a chamber mailing, so a mailing to all chamber members. I think every year we've done that. Sometimes we get, maybe a couple gifts and $1,000 back, and then sometimes we get ones like this. So they responded to this mailing with a $5,000 gift. They attended our Transit Equity Day event. They have continued to give every year. We started last year, I think, was like they're a mailing service. We do mailers. Why don't we use them? And so we started using them for a few mailings a year. And then this year they doubled their gift without us even asking. So sometimes these things just take time to start building that relationship and trust with donors. But we're starting to see the fruits of that. Next. This is the chart I show you every time I'm here of where we're at with our donors. I've mentioned before, we're a little behind where we were last year. So that's a lot of this end of year outreach is to try to get up that individual donor number so that we have more donors than we have in the past. Broadening that base. Okay, next. And then I always share with you all the inner circle giving. So this is both boards and then the executive team and then our foundation staff where we're at. So we still have room to go in the next month. So if you haven't given yet this year, you will be hearing from me, I promise. And we hope to get that number to 100% before the end of the year. This is the thing that a lot of times funders will ask us, what is your board engagement? And so because of our relationship with Indigo, we look at both boards and their engagement there. Okay, next. I wanted to give you all a summary of an event that we were part of recently. So Jennifer Griggs on our team is our programs manager, and she's the one that manages the relationships with all of our nonprofit partners. She's also one of the chamber ambassadors and is the one of our team that's out in the community the most. And so on her merry travels, met a woman who's a professor at University of Indianapolis and teaches nursing students, and one of her classes is social determinants of health. And so what came from that was the idea of getting these students in class to learn about transportation because it is a social determinant of health. And so Jennifer partnered with Molly at Indigo, the mobility manager. Molly led travel trainings for the students in September. And then part of their, I think, final exam for the class might have been they had to go on the bus themselves and see what they learned in the travel training. And then after they did that, in November, Jennifer organized a panel discussion that included people like Ted Grain from Eskenazi, who's on our board, to discuss what happened and what they learned about it. And so a lot of these students had great feedback about how they had never thought of riding Indigo before. Some even said it was cleaner than they thought it was going to be. So good to see changing minds and gaining new riders a little bit at a time. Next. Applications closed for our next round of Mobility Access Fund grants. These are the free fare grants to nonprofits that we've done every year. We've received 139 applications from organizations. Total amount requested in the fair market value was $475,000, which is a 20% increase over last year. So every year this keeps growing. Last year we funded 119 organizations. We knew at some point we were going to start hitting a point where we couldn't keep up with demand or our funding wouldn't be able to keep up with demand. And it appears that this might be our year. In the past, we've been able to fully fund all requests. And it's looking like, I said earlier, we're waiting on some grants to come back. But at this point, it's looking like we won't be able to fully fund everything. But our goal is to ensure that every organization that qualifies gets something. And so we're at the point in the year where we're figuring out how much money we have coming in. And then at our December board meeting is when we'll approve, or our board will approve those grants. And they will be notified by the end of the year. Yeah.
Emily, when you say total amount requested in fair market value, is that what you're selling it to the?
So this is the free fare grants. And why I say fair market value is this is not including any discount from Indigo. This is just the total value. If we were to pay full price, if they were to pay full price, it's $475,000 worth of passes.
All right, that's what thanks.
Yeah, it gets a little tricky with these numbers when you factor in all the different things. And then we also know that with the fare increase next year, these funds will not getting as many transportation days as we have in the past. So, every year we've been able to show charts of we're growing, we're growing, we're growing. And so this year I'm just giving you a fair warning. It's not going to look the same. But that's part of our growth as an organization. And we're working with our nonprofits to ensure that it still is helping as many people as possible. And finally, last one. So Transit Equity Day, I mentioned earlier, it's February 4th. That is Rosa Parks' birthday. We don't choose February 4th. That is her birthday. So that's when we celebrate. This year, or I guess next year in February, we will be moving, it was a lunch last year. We're moving to an afternoon reception, a little bit cheaper that way, but doing it at the Eiteljorg Museum. And so it'll include a reception and then presentation. We'll have, I'm sure Jenny will present, and then we'll have a panel discussion like we did last year, kind of thinking of this event as our state of transportation equity and moving this event in the future to be a fundraiser, like an event where companies can buy a table and be the place where all the transportation loving people in Indianapolis come together and talk about where the city's at with that. So this year, in February, we'll be having our Mobility Access Fund sponsors, so the donors that support this, and then our nonprofit grantees will get a comp ticket, and then we're asking others to purchase a ticket and then have sponsorships. So we'll start promoting that event in the next week, probably, or two, maybe right after Thanksgiving. Definitely by Tuesday, which is Giving Tuesday, December 2nd, we'll have a newsletter going out that day and a video, and so we'll be definitely promoting it by then. That is all I have for you today. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I get we'll really have a statement.
Okay.
As you know, I've sat on a number of not-for-profit boards over the last 20 years, and it is incredibly important that every board member on your board, as well as this board, donates to the foundation. And I can tell you that I've seen hundreds and hundreds of applications come through, and a lot of times it's almost an automatic no. If they see that the board members aren't contributing to their own foundation. And so I would just highly, highly recommend that you and your staff talk to your board members. And I would say the same thing to my fellow board members. And it doesn't matter whether it's $10, $25, something. Because and especially in the environment we're in right now, with applications going up, the amount of money going down, everybody, that's just an easy way just to have them toss our application out. And it's handcuffing you, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But I just think
I appreciate hearing it, though. Keep going.
well, I'm just saying, I mean, we all want this to be successful.
Yeah.
We put a ton of time and energy into it, and you and your staff has as well. And when these applications are going through these not-for-profits, I meet with probably 2 a week anymore, wanting to know what else they can do to be successful. And I'm not even on the board. They're just asking me for my opinion. And it's so competitive right now. But that's just almost an automatic way for them to say, okay, you're not even supporting your own foundation, so why should we? So
We've been recommending for board members, staff, or people that are part of this inner circle too. On our website, we have an option where you can make a monthly gift, and then you don't have to think about it or remember, have I given this year yet? Just set that up for $20, $25 a month, or 100, whatever you want to do. Yeah, that's option. But thank you for bringing that up and encouraging the board to support.
And I hope the 3 people you just brought on, that you had that discussion with them.
Yep, it's in our board requirements. And then this year, the board approved a give or get of $1,000 for the foundation board.
Okay.
So that's the first time that we've ever set an amount.
Good.
So, yeah.
Emily, I got one quick question about the Transit Equity Day celebration. You're noting that you're asking, quote, other attendees to purchase tickets. How are you defining an other attendee?
For example, board members that might want to come. That's what I'm putting out early. We're thinking that the presenters, we would have complimentary, but any donors that want to attend, we'll invite all of our donors to attend. But unless they've don't like sponsored specifically this event, we are going to be asking them to buy a ticket. So this is like a transition year of easy $20 low cost ticket, moving into more of a, in future years, I don't want to say gala, but like a luncheon type, buy a table corporate sponsorship thing.
So is this a fixed cost or is this a suggested donation or how are we?
Yeah, so when you register online, you're buying a $20 ticket, right? Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just saying we're not going out of the gate with a $100 ticket for an afternoon reception, but next future years, we might get there.
Any other questions from board members? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that, we will adjourn tonight's meeting, our meeting for November. And on behalf of myself and staff and the other board members, we want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And please be careful as you travel, because I know this is the biggest travel weekend of the year. And we'll see you all in December for our year-end meeting. We're adjourned.